Hi everybody, today I am going to make a KWL graphic organizer on my chart here, and to do so I just took a large piece of cardstock and just folded it in half and wrote K for what they know, W for what they want to know, and L for what they've learned. And this is a strategy that you can use with your students' whole group, or they can create one as a small group, or they can even do one on their own after using the student publication to read about and to discuss all the information. So it's very important to make sure that they know it's a consumable so that they can read it, highlight, find bits of information that they want to underline that they can use before actually cutting anything out of this for their student artifact. So for this one, since it is a KWL chart, we want to start with the K, which is for what they know, what they already know about the topic. And our topic today is on important documents. And this is from our Studies Weekly, grade 3, Social Studies. And so as they are looking at the publication, or as they're introduced to the topic of important documents, we would have the teacher probably lead them in a discussion for what do they already know about important documents of our country. And then she could guide them to record at least two ideas for what they know on their own, or if they're putting it in their interactive notebook, then they could also write down all of the ideas that the class shares as the teacher records them for the whole group. And so let's just say, since I don't have a class here with me, but let's just say this is our 3rd grade class here, and they're pretty bright, but this is also, new topics. So maybe something that they already do know about important documents is that they are important for our country. So we could record that on our chart. Important for our country. Another thing that the students might already know is they may already look at this and recognize that they know one of the names as the Constitution. And so we could write that down if they say, oh, I know an important document is called our Constitution. So they could write that down. And let's say another student says, these documents give us our freedom. So, give our freedoms. And just for the sake of time, we'll move on to the W, which is what they want to know. So let's say that just given the topic, maybe they've got this front part, you could even just say, well, what do you want to know about these documents? And they might want to say, well, I see that there's obviously more than just the Constitution. So what are these important documents? So we could write down, what are the important documents? And maybe a discussion would be, how are they different? Because obviously if there's more than one, how are they different? And maybe another student might say, well, I want to know how they work. How do they work to give us our freedoms? So how do they give us our freedoms? Now the L part will come after the learning takes place, because this is what they have learned. So what I like to do is, as we're going through this whole group as a class, we would take just sections, different articles each day, and we would probably even just find all of the vocabulary words and circle them or underline them, and then make sure that you highlight what those vocabulary words mean as you're going through it and reading it together. And then stop for the students to be able to ask questions, have discussions, and also notice, oh, bingo, we learned something. And so we're gonna put what we learned right here, record that, and even allow them to say, oh, look, we already had these questions. We answered those questions. And I loved putting the answer right next to what they want to know for those questions, and then adding some more things that we learned as we go through our full publication. So each day, go ahead and read, learn about, and discuss all of these. And then once you get to the end and they've learned all of these things, have them see if there's anything else that we need to list. And don't be afraid to turn it over and go on the back and record more information. And like I said earlier, there's different ways that you can have the students to be creating their own. They can be creating it alongside with you in a student interactive notebook. They can already have a template for a KWL chart in front of them that they're marking as you are for the whole class, or you can wait until the very end, and then they can take the information from what you've done as the whole group conversation and choose to do a KWL chart for their student artifact, which shows the things that they've learned, which organized their thoughts, which made them be able to see their growth in the learning for that week. And then last but not least, before I make a list of all the things that the students are able to learn from the article, I'll go through and put all the information down that they're learning after we complete this. Then you can have them find a picture that they can use as part of the student artifact. And I really like this one on the front because it shows the 3 of them. And so I would, for mine, I want to cut this one out. And I'm debating if I want to even keep the title on it, because I do really like that. In fact, I might do that, because I do really like that. I might add that if there's enough room on here. And then at the top of the fold, then I can add my picture. I would just put some glue on it and add it right here. Oh, look at that. Guys, I think I'm gonna have enough space for my important documents. So I might cut that out and put that under here, just like they had it in our publication. This is all information straight from their student publication. Studies Weekly does an amazing job at making sure that they find their information from this text that's included. You don't have to feel like you have to supplement, that you've got to find other things for them to read. They do a fantastic job of covering the standards and giving all the information that the students will need to be able to answer any assessments that they have and to be able to show that they have learned. So I had so much fun going back and listing all the things that the students will learn as they have gone through the publication and discussed, and there's so much, it's so awesome. I also had the thought that after they've gone through and learned these things and talked about these things, we could even have a great discussion about how in school these rights mean that we have the right to learn, the right to read, write, and to have materials that help us learn. And so wouldn't this be a great jump into creating a class constitution or our class Bill of Rights, and having the class with the teachers help create and make a list of what they want to include as their rights, and make a class Bill of Rights listing those. Have a class constitution to ensure and discuss what their responsibilities as citizens in the classroom are, and then have it displayed. And you could even make it look pretty fancy and important like this. So it's a great extension and a wonderful way that the students could take it beyond just what they're learning in class materials.